we saw yesterday was, I think, just such a force of democracy. Yesterday, as many of us know, well, I guess maybe I should start with last week. Last week, Justin Jones and Justin Pearson were both expelled because they joined a bunch of protesters outside of the Tennessee state legislature calling for gun reform, and they basically got expelled last week. Yesterday, the Nashville Board of Commissioners voted to reinstate Justin Jones and get this, by a unanimous vote. 34 of the 34 commissioners voted to reinstate Justin Jones to be state representative again. And yesterday, what happened afterward was, I think, just kind of showing the best of democracy, showing what democracy truly looks like. Yesterday, following that vote, Justin Jones led this protest of thousands of people from that city council courthouse to this Tennessee state capitol building. And it was just, I mean, if you guys haven't watched that video, I posted on my Twitter, but it was such a remarkable showing of Justin Jones, this 27-year-old who represents so much, who I think is one of the youngest members of the Tennessee state legislature, leading thousands of people to the Tennessee state capitol, and people were chanting, this is what democracy looks like. People were, carrying signs. They were together, locked in arms, and it was just such a brilliant kind of display of what we are all about as a country. We showed Republicans that fascism, that racism won't win, that hate won't win, and I think it sent multiple messages. I think the first is just kind of the power and the number of people. You had so many people gather yesterday, standing behind Justin Jones, and when he took his swearing in, when he swore himself in, or I guess when someone else swore him in outside of the Tennessee state capitol, you could see like the swarm of people around Justin Jones, and it was just such a breathtaking view. There was one aerial footage of all of the people surrounding Justin Jones, and you can see him kind of at the center of it, but so many people were around him. And again, this is so much more than just Justin Jones. This is a movement. This is what kind of democracy should be all about. He's unleashed something that Republicans probably never imagined them unleashing. And so Justin Jones is going to be this force of nature when he I guess he's now back as state representative. And yesterday he walked onto this House floor with Gloria Johnson. He basically held onto her arm, and together they walked onto the Tennessee state House floor, showing basically every single Republican that this is what you signed up for. This is what happens when you mess with us. You have the youngest state legislator in partnership with Gloria Johnson, someone who's white, a woman. And by the way, I'll be interviewing Gloria Johnson later today on iGen Politics at about 5 p.m. Central Time, so you don't want to miss that. But that image of them walking together, and then Justin Jones subsequently speaking about how he will not be silenced, how this is a moment for him to keep on pushing and showing Republicans that this is only the beginning, I thought was kind of show the nation that this is someone who's not going to go down without a fight. I think for Republicans who are watching this, they should know that it's never a good idea to bet against young people, to bet against the lives of young people, and to doubt us, because we're going to come back stronger. We're going to come back harder than they could possibly ever imagine. I think yesterday just was a case in point of that, and how the power of young people will never be stopped, no matter what Republicans try to do. And lastly, I think the last of my thoughts about yesterday were that Justin Jones said something on MSNBC, which I thought was really interesting. Right after he got sworn back in, right after he spoke on the Tennessee State House floor, he told MSNBC that this is more than just him. This is about accountability. He's going to hold the House Speaker accountable for his actions and what he did, because what he did, basically, he said, it was an attempt to destroy democracy. And so for Justin Jones, for Gloria Johnson, for Justin Pearson, this is more than just bringing them back to the state house. This is about holding people accountable, doing kind of the work necessary to make sure that every single American wakes up to their actions. Basically what happened with Republicans, their brazenness with which they acted to expel the two youngest Black members of the Tennessee State House. It's about showing every single person in America that this is what Republicans stand for, and they're going to, I think, call on him to resign. Maybe they'll launch impeachment proceedings, but this is kind of what happens when Republicans mess around. And yesterday, Justin Jones showed that clearly, and he told MSNBC that his now goal is to hold these Republicans accountable, to hold the House Speaker accountable, and demand that he resigns, because I think that people deserve better than that. And for the House Speaker, just shame on him for doing this. And this is what I hope he has learned some lesson if he hasn't. And yesterday, Justin Jones said that he did bump into one of his Republican colleagues in the elevator, and the one question he asked him was whether or not he learned his lesson. I think it's a very simple question, and we'll see whether or not they learn their lesson. And I think time and time again we saw this in 2018, again in 2020, again in 2022, and in Wisconsin, and again in Tennessee. It's never a good idea to bet against young people. Young people are truly kind of more persistent than ever before. They can think of more innovative ways. It's one of those moments where I think hopefully the nation is realizing just kind of pay attention to young people, because they're going to be the ones that push back against what Republicans are trying to do and their fascist agenda. So if you haven't seen those clips, you should definitely check it out. It's pretty amazing, and I really, really hope that you can check out those images, because especially that one image of Justin Jones surrounded by everyone and cameras is a sight to behold. So I know we won't be this won't be the last time we talk about it. Tomorrow, Justin Pearson, who was the other state representative who was expelled, will be there will be a vote by the Shelby County Board of Commissioners that will vote him back in. I suspect it'll be, if not unanimous, I suspect it'll be overwhelmingly for Justin Pearson. After all, the nation, the entire world is basically watching, and I think that they have a lot of pressure to do that. And so tomorrow will be another great day, I think, for democracy to show that fascism, that what Republicans are trying to do, will not win. Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, and Gloria Johnson will once again become the Tennessee Three back in the state house, and I think they will be Republicans' worst nightmare. And while we talk about all of this, I also think it's a good reminder for all of us to remember that this is the power of local elections. This is the power of local power. You have the Shelby Board of Commissioners. You have the Nashville Board of Commissioners. Those are all local elections. And if it weren't for the Democrats in those positions, both Justin Jones and possibly Justin Pearson might not be in the state representative to either tomorrow, or they might have not been voted into the state representative office. So I think what we saw yesterday was kind of this unanimous vote, right? But that's because people turned out in Nashville to vote these Democratic commissioners in. Tomorrow, we're going to see the same thing, where those Democratic commissioners that Shelby County residents voted in, that's kind of what these local elections are all about. That's why they're so important. So going forward in these Republican states, especially if you're in a Republican state, vote for those down ballot races, because that's what might kind of end up making the difference. And it's sad that we have to be in this reality where it ends up being the commissioner that has to vote for reappointing the state representative, but that could very well be the case now. And Republicans now have more power and authority and agency, and I think permission to do so. And so this might not be the last time we see this, unfortunately. But those local down ballot races really matter, and we're seeing that in full display right now. Vote for your state representatives, vote for your state senators, vote for your commissioners. Those are really going to be key as we head into 2024 and beyond. So I know tomorrow I'll be talking a lot about this with our guest, so you don't want to miss that. But Justin Pearson, that vote is scheduled for at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. You don't want to miss that. It'll be a really, I think, amazing kind of scene again of what democracy really is all about. So don't miss that. A couple of other things I want to get into. First is, yesterday we talked about Kentucky on this show, and just the kind of horrific shooting that we saw yesterday. There was another shooting in the same town of Louisville, Kentucky. This time it was at Jefferson Jefferson Community and Technical College in Louisville, Kentucky. One person is dead. Another person is injured so far. It happened in the same day. This is just, again, I mean, I don't know how many times we have to talk about gun violence in order for this to sink in, but this is the reality of America right now. You have two shootings in the same day in the same city, and Republican elected officials don't say anything about it. The most that Mitch McConnell could say yesterday was his thoughts and prayers. Rand Paul hasn't really said anything. You have Republicans in Kentucky who serve their constituents, who see people dying, not do anything about it. And it should infuriate all of us. I know how exhausting this is. I know how kind of defeating it feels to look at your headlines and to see yet another mass shooting. But we have to maintain the capacity to be outraged. We have to still continue to have the ability to be infuriated, because if we don't, we allow Republicans to win. And we have to make sure that we carry kind of whatever we feel right now, that anger, that outrage to the ballot box in 2024 and vote these people out. I know Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul are not up for re-election in 2024, but vote for Democrats in Congress. And I hope Democrats also take this as a very, very stark lesson to run people in every single district, to run people against Republicans, to make it a core kind of campaign piece, to run on gun violence, to run on abortion, to run on climate change, to run on all of these democracy, to run on these things that aren't traditional kitchen table issues that can really galvanize voters. I hope that Democrats also take a lesson in this, because I think it's a just another kind of instance of we have to capitalize on this moment. We have to make sure that we do the work necessary to defeat these Republicans. And it starts by, electing better people into office. It starts by volunteering, organizing, doing the work necessary to get Republicans out of office. 2024 is going to be our moment, I think. And hopefully we can really kind of show them a lesson and make them finally learn that if they mess around with us, we will not back down. So that's just what I saw from Kentucky yesterday was just horrific. I know it's a red state, but we have to maintain the capacity to be outraged and rise above politics in this instance. I do feel for everyone in Kentucky, but more than anything else, I agree with President Biden. It's up to Congress right now and Republicans in Congress to act. So that's all I have for the Kentucky scene. One other thing I want to talk about that I saw this morning that really warmed my heart was Chicago will be the location of the next Democratic convention in 2024. So this morning, there was a great piece by Lynn Sweet in the Chicago Sun-Times about how Democrats chose Chicago as the site of the next convention. Specifically, they chose the United Center. For anyone who's been to Chicago, the United Center, I think, is a really wonderful venue. It's huge. It has a lot of great space. And just from the article, it says the convention will take place August 19th through the 22nd next year. It's expected to draw between 5,000 and 7,000 delegates and alternates and attract up to 50,000 visitors to Chicago. So that's pretty amazing. As someone who is both, I might be a little bit biased as someone who's originally from Chicago, but also as someone who was a former delegate. I was a delegate back in 2020. I didn't get the normal convention experience. It was in Milwaukee, or I guess air quotes, in Milwaukee. But the conventions are all about showing what Democrats are really about, kind of showing and highlighting and showcasing the strength of the party. It's about bringing people together. It's about making sure that we have a solid plan heading into 2024. And I think Chicago is a wonderful place to do that. I think Chicago is going to be a tremendous and magnificent scene. As someone who's from Chicago, it's a great place to be over the summer. I know it can get a little bit humid and maybe be a little bit rainy, but Chicago has many, many great restaurants. It's the hub to a lot of great hotels, and also, of course, with O'Hare being an international airport, I think it draws a lot of great benefits, and it shows kind of the strength of the Midwest for the Democratic Party. The Midwest has never been really an area that Democrats have been successful in, but since 2020, you saw Ben Wickler come in as the chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party and really flip the Midwest. That's going to be where our blue wall is. And I think attracting people from Ohio, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan into Chicago, and of course also other states, Georgia, the South, into Chicago. And that's going to kind of be the hub of the Democratic Party in 2024 for the convention. I think that's going to be a really powerful showing. So it should be really amazing. And I know hopefully I'll if I don't run for delegate again, I'll probably have a part to play in the Democratic National Convention. I know a lot of young people want a part to play. It'll be interesting to see how the Democratic Party structures this event, but I have a feeling it'll be pretty amazing. And I know my hometown will not let us down. I know J.B. Pritzker as the governor, and also Brandon Johnson as the new mayor of Chicago, will not let us down. It's going to be a great place with many, many great, I think, events. And I think it will really kind of show the entire nation that Chicago is a place to be, but also that Democrats in Chicago, that's kind of where all the magic happens. That's all the news I have for you today. Tomorrow, I will be back with a new episode of On the Move. You do not want to miss that. And I'll be back every day this week with a new episode. A quick programming note for this week. First, tomorrow, I'll be back with Cenk Uygur. We'll talk about what he's been able to do with the Young Turks, and also some of the things that he's doing in terms of reforming the media, getting information out there. I'll talk about that with Cenk Uygur. On Thursday, we're going to have Fred Gutenberg, who will talk about gun violence again and kind of where we go from here, what's happening in Tennessee. And on Friday, we're going to have on Fred Wellman, who was formerly part of the Lincoln Project and who does some phenomenal work now trying to expose Republicans. So you don't want to miss any of those. We'll be back every day this week at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, right here on youtube.com/Politicon. You don't want to miss it, so be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. I'll be back, and I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I will see you all tomorrow.